A long time ago, there was a wise king who studied the stars. He mapped everything. Through the years, he looked up to the stars in the sky, the constellations and patterns of seasons gone by. Then one day he noticed a new big shining star. He checked with his charts and he checked with his telescope. Well, after removing the lens cap, to look from afar. Was the star like an arrow? Was it pointing the way? The wise gathered round to discuss it that day. In ancient texts, prophets foretold a son born a king God sends to the world. Then with the evidence, stars, maybe scripture and scrolls, they started to pack their sandwiches, rolls, equipment they needed, a flask full of tea. A car full of petrol? No, water for camels for the journey. Then they remembered they needed to pack an airbed, essential if they needed a nap. They filled it with water. On the camels they rode. Straight down the M1, the wise on camels they strode. Then trudging and tired they looked up, saw a sign. Have a break, don't drop off, just 100 yards more. So into the services those wise kings parked up, remembering now the gifts they'd forgot. We'll buy gold and perfume there at the shop. And one more thing, nappies for a baby. They gathered their purchases, paused for coffee and tea. Then they continued on the exciting journey. The next sign, Bethlehem, just 20 miles. Not far to the city, where they asked, "Where's the king child?" "Well, we don't know. Best ask the king. The palace is that way, up there on the right. You really can't miss it. It's there in plain sight." The wise kings asked guards, and an appointment agreed. They entered the palace. "What is it you need?" asked King Herod. "The king sent by God, the baby, the child. Do you know where he is?" "I am King Herod." "The king, it is me." "No, not you, the king of all kings, the one at the top." Then King Herod, he stopped just a minute. He asked his advisors, the priests and the scribes, "Do you know of a king sent by God, prophesied?" They looked in the scriptures, and there, in the text, the Bethlehem promise was just as they'd said. King Herod was fuming, but tried to keep calm. "We know it's near here, precisely not sure. When you find him, please tell me, so I can adore." The wise king set off and asked once again, "Where is the king, the child sent by God?" "Yes, along to the bottom. You know the Star Inn. Well, just round the corner. And there you'll find him." They checked the directions and thanked them. Followed they're right. The king sent from God was a glorious sight. The wise crowd they worshipped and blessed him, gave thanks. The gifts of gold and perfume were accepted with thanks. The nappies were a little small for a 2-year-old, but the wise king suggested Mum keep them for the next one. They blessed Jesus, thanked parents and gave thanks to God. They did their farewells. It was time to go off to Herod. But no, they sensed there was danger. In obedience to God, his message alone, they followed a new path, and the wise kings went home.